Loving what you do
Sir.
and being compensated for it well.
Loving what you do
And being well
and
compensated.
being well compensated. I like that one. Good.
Finding out what you're really best at and pursuing that, even if you'd rather, in your mind, do something else.
Finding out what you're really best at. Sir,
Feeling like you matter.
feeling like you matter. Awesome. Probably saw him over here. Guys. Yeah, go
Getting
ahead.
awarded by your peers,
Being awarded
by your
by
peers.
peers. Excellent. Sir, one more?
Success is never owned, it's rented, and the rent is due every day.
Well, you know, while there's probably as many definitions as there are people in the room, I think one of the things that I kind of heard as a common theme is kind of finding your purpose, maximizing your purpose, being appreciated for that. And some of the things I heard, there's a little bit of altruistic piece to that as well, kind of helping others, benefiting others in addition to you being compensated yourself. Well, one of the things in my own life that I've observed in my life and in the lives of other people is I found that really successful people tend to do four things extremely well. The first thing is relationships. Relationships. They tend to understand that, look, for me to realize my vision, for me to realize my dream, I'm going to need some help. And probably from somebody who's a little further on in that particular area than I am. That person could be an advisor, that person could be an investor, that person can simply be an encourager. But having the support, the resources, and the help from somebody who's just a little further along tends to be what gets somebody started along that path to success. The second thing that really successful people tend to do is that they empower and equip other people. They realize that their dream, their vision, if it's really going to be successful, has to incorporate more than just themselves. They need a team of people. They have to grow that vision, they have to grow that dream from just simply what I want to get done to what we can accomplish together. And if they're really secure, they learn how to give power away. It takes a secure person to be able to give not only the responsibility, but the power or the authority to accomplish that task or that goal or handle that piece of the vision. Thirdly is, the third piece of how to be a real success that I find successful people really do is they have the right attitude. And we've heard a little bit about that today. Self-talk, knowing, having their minds right. It's their disposition, it's their perspective, it's how they see the world. It's all of these things that help them to go after what is in their heart to do. Fourthly, successful people tend to be pretty good leaders. Because what I found is that everything rises and falls on that concept of leadership. And the challenge is just where are you as a leader? If I would ask you to rate yourself from 1 to 10, what would you give yourself? Probably more pointed question would be if I were to ask you to ask others around you how they rate you as a leader. How would they rate you? Because see, wherever that number is on a scale of 1 to 10, or whether it's a 5, whether it's a 7, whether it's a 6, or whether it's an 8, that establishes your leadership lid. That lid determines your level of effectiveness. You know what I found out in my life? That if I'm a 6, it's hard for me to lead 8s. They get frustrated with me. They'll probably leave my company, leave my organization because they're frustrated with my inability to lead at their level. So I got really one choice, which is to lift my own leadership lid. And the question is, how do you go about doing all that? Well, one of the things that I offer is a full-day class, and where we delve into all of these things. We first help you by defining kind of what is your unique purpose and goals and objectives, what's your dream, what's your vision. Then we delve into each of those 4 elements, from relationships to empowerment, attitude, and leadership. So that you leave with an action plan, you leave with the ability to really go after what it is that's important to you. So I only have a few minutes, so I just want to close with these few questions. Number 1 is, are you worth the investment in yourself? Are you willing to bet on yourself? The world needs what you have to offer. Are you prepared to take a step to make that happen? Are you really willing and ready to be a real success? You deserve it. You owe it to yourself, your family, your community, the world. Thanks.
That's great. Comments? That was phenomenal.
Kevin, your growth as a speaker has been terrific. I mean, it's just been a joy to see you deliver something similar a long time ago and get some feedback and make some changes and see where you're at now. And I really like your message. It's clear, it's on point. I'm curious, you gave up the acronym, REAL.
Well, I didn't give it up. I've actually walked through each letter. I didn't probably emphasize it as.
You didn't explain it though as REAL. Did you mean to leave that out?
No, I did not mean to. In fact, I was
Okay.
hoping to kind of spell it out through each of the.
Okay. Missed it. I just missed it, just a thought.
Yes.
I really like, first of all, I thought those, particularly those first 3 points were very incisive and illuminating. The fourth one was kind of vague about leadership, and it seemed like, I mean, I was really listening to those points, you know, I was figuring to get something of the same impact in that fourth quote, or that fourth issue, which was leadership. Instead, what happened was, it's like everything else disappeared. You went into this leadership, almost like sales job, is what I felt.
Well, it is a commercial. It is a sales pitch ultimately.
Okay, and then good, but I felt that. I'm not sure you want people to feel that.
I left it to the end. I didn't want to weave it through the whole presentation.
I got it. But as you can-
Chris, are you saying the leadership part or the
You
call
were
to action?
presenting in a certain format, and so you had me there in that format. And all of a sudden it became a sales job. It felt like I don't mean this in a negative way, I just can't come up with better words, but it felt like a bait and switch, honestly.
Bait and switch.
Yeah. In other
Well,
words, we're
you have to
going-
define if this is a if this is a workshop to get people to sign up for something,
Yeah, you have to.
that you would have known, yeah, I don't know if that's what the purpose is.
Now, this is assuming I had 5 minutes really to come up in front of a group of people.
Okay,
And
I think what's important here is to put your listening ears on, because even if this is let's say an executive briefing or something like that, to make that kind of switch and go into basically what I would call an overt pitch would be probably something that could turn some people off. And
Unless you had a bridge statement.
a bridge statement or something like that. And I think, you know, if you talk to Rich about it, he's more of an expert at this than I am. There's some way that you can build that to it's just a logical conclusion that you should consider what it is I'm doing, right? Instead of saying, leaving that, it's like, number 1 took, I don't know, a couple minutes, very pointed and incisive. Number 2, same. Number 3, same. Number 4 was a completely different environment all of a sudden.
I'm sorry, go back.
I think the call to action needs to be a little bit stronger. I mean, it was kind of light. If you were to make it even harsher, you know, maybe go after the ego a little bit more, like, do you want to be led? Or do you want to be a leader or something like that? More of a stronger call to action. Because what you were doing is, are you worth the investment? You owe it to yourself. I just don't
It's
think
not
there's a lot
on
of
leadership, it's on
pain
success.
And put enough salt in the wound.
Yeah, the theme was success.
Yeah.
I think that when you ask those questions, and I agree, the questions ought to be more pointed, and maybe a pause after each question so people can say, you know, ask themselves that. But at the end, your point is, my clients know the answers, period.
Oh, good.
My clients know the answers.
Yeah, that's good.
And so if I've had time to think about that, at the end, I want to be one of your clients, and I'll be coming up to get that information. You won't have to do the pitch.
I think that's great.
Yeah, that was
It's a
really
real
good.
soft sell, I like that.
Kevin, first of all, I'm someone that really likes the style that you use to speak. I thought that you were very engaging. You would lean forward as you were making points, and you talked to me and not at me. And it was very conversational, and I'm drawn to that kind of presenter. If I can make a suggestion for future presentations, I saw several times that when you were making a point, you would put your hand up in front of your mouth. And for some of us, that can get in the way of us hearing.
Like that.
I don't think I do that.
The call to action there at the end of the question, I like Katie's bringing home. You asked us out of the gate, what's your definition of success? But if you don't return to that, it's almost like, I don't care what it is. But I think Katie's gives you a perfect way to go back and say, you all have got your own definition of success. My clients live. You somehow tie it back to the questions and say, there's all these different ideas in here. Nobody really knows what it is. And I think somehow you work it in there.
My
But we
clients
didn't go
do
back to that. They kind of felt like, I don't have any better way to start, so I just wrote a question, and now let's tell you what I think. I would like to see you go back to that somehow. back to the real, my definition, and I don't understand why it's good or bad or different.
So tie in people's original definition.
Or don't do it that way.
Or
You
to
can
look
do it
back
that
to
way.
what you wrote down, and based on the information you got, where are you on that? On a scale of 1 to 10, are you at a 10? Because if you are, I wouldn't be, yeah, because it's not my sweet spot. But there's 3 types of people out here. One is like, oh my gosh, I need this. The second group of people are like, this is kind of cool, I'd love to meet with you after. And the third group's like, I'm a 10, I'm cool. You know, that's how you set up the pitch. Because you put people in, and if Chris is like, you already got this, you're like, great, but it was good information, I got 1 point out of it, right?
But I
think
know
you-
somebody.
And in the introduction is where you're gonna find it out. So if I'm introducing you, I'm saying, and Kevin's gonna speak to you today about success. And at the end, you're gonna have an opportunity to find out what he does and possibly take a next step to increase your success. So for those of you in here that will help out, you'll be able to get with Kevin. And for those of you that are not, then it's great, no problem. And you set up that buying atmosphere right off the bat. From the speaker, not from the person speaking. Chris, I'll let Chris, this is a cross-examination.
No, it's not, it's not. Actually, I'm trying to invoke a little bit of a Sandler construct.
Great.
So that it doesn't, in other words, if you can kind of take it into a third party and it's not really us,
Exactly.
I think that's a good way to do it. And it says, it's to the effect of, people who've worked with me in the past, right, who I've spoken to in the past, typically fall into 3 categories. And the inference is not necessarily you guys, right?
But everybody else.
But no, just people I've worked with in the past. It doesn't really matter. I'm not talking about you guys, but meanwhile, with that kind of lack of pressure, then we actually do think about it.
One more, let's take one more.
One thing that really hit my ears, Kevin, was, because I've been doing leadership and negotiation training for years and stuff, and one of the things that you said is about giving your power away. And I don't think I would ever say give your power away. What I would say is that your role as a leader is to empower others. That's the wording I would use instead of giving your power away, because when I teach project managers, I don't want them to give their power away. I mean, obviously, you want to share, everybody comes to the table with different skill sets and different strengths. But what I would do as the leader is I would empower other people instead of giving my power away. That would be my suggestion.
I'm going to be an antagonist here. I thought giving your power away was an interesting way to say it. It's just that it was a pattern in it. He took power.
It's something I think that
Take my power away.
what popped for me was lift your leadership lid. And you can mark that out a few times and say, and then with respect to the call to action, if you invite, a couple times use the word invite. And then finally, when you're getting to your close and you say, I invite you to lift your leadership lid by coming to blah-da-da-da-da. Do you follow what I'm saying? This way, they're hearing an invitation throughout, and that when the CTA comes, you're like inviting them, oh yeah, well, maybe I will take them up on that. Do you follow?
I do, thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Nice job. We have 2 more things to do. We have another speaker, and then we have Rich that's going to do a little club business for the last 10 minutes. So our next speaker is Katie. And Katie is, I love this, a marketing strategist by trade and a storyteller